And today's task is to change the steering column geometry, because I want this one angled a little bit aft so I can get it to poke out here. And the plan is I'm going to make a cover here with a hole in it and a switch and whatnot, and that's going to be my first project on my 3D printer because I can't stand that little boat. And also Emily the engineer knocked that out of the park, so there's no point in trying. So yeah, the steering column is... it looks easier than I thought it would, and that is of course some famous last words. But at the bottom here is just an axle going through that plate. So that got me thinking I could just release the welds on each side here, and then I can tilt it back a few degrees and then weld them up again. But this is a very flimsy steel plate. So what I thought was, what if I just release these welds and then try to force it backwards? It's just a few degrees and that will give me good leverage. And I just might bend that plate a little, but that should be okay. So yeah, let's do that. So here it is, the moment of truth. Okay, so this one, oh okay, it needs a bit of force. And this of course is nice. Okay, the question is, how further back do I need it? Is all right. Yep. Now that plate underneath there is twisting, which is what we want. So I need to get this at the angle that I want, and I want to keep it there. Of course, I needed to switch to the larger angle grinder, so I lost a lot of material here, and well, I'm not gonna fill that gap. But yeah, I can make a bracket over here and weld that to this. It should be easy peasy. So I can just take this one off at one point and yeah, basically if I take a jacking strap, or what they're called, and yeah, just break this back at the angle I need it, and then weld this back again while it's holding the axle. That should be cool. And yeah, they're still not rubbing against these, so that's good. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so they're called ratchet straps. Just forgot. So yeah. And that fits around the axle on that side, and then we do the same here. Now, I'm just going to bring it back, and hopefully this will... Alright, maybe I could take it under there so that we can fit the front chassis over without interfering with the straps. Maybe. Yep, that should work. And looking at the quality of everything, I'm not afraid that my handiwork is gonna be up to the same quality. Alright, so the question is, do I want to bring it up so I can rest that on a piece of flat bar? Or do I want it down here to be flush with the let's get these puppy on. Alright, so it's sticking on those. Keep that. There we have it. Alright, that is that is actually quite a bit further back, that is. The question is, should I move this forward a bit? But then again, no. Alright, let's just tighten this puppy and see what happens. Yes. It's easier to cut the plastic than it is to start chopping up the whole front suspension just because I want an extra centimeter. Of course, I'm trying to align this, but this one is welded freehand previously as well. Alright, so this is where it's gonna be. That means I'm going to take this bracket off, clean the edges, make it ready for grinding, and then I can grind away the other brackets. Then I can weld up that. Then I can fit the body back on and start to evaluate where I want mounting brackets so I can weld that on. So hopefully I'll get all the welding done today. Again, famous last words. But before that, I'll fill up my cup of coffee and make sure the kids hasn't torn the house apart. Here's the bracket. Now I ground off that misaligned part. Now, originally it was this way, but it doesn't really matter which way these brackets turn. So if I turn it this way, and then of course, this is not the one I made, but I'm going to use this to show. If I put a flat bar down there, and this one, then I can just angle this part here to sit flush on that, and I can actually weld it up as it sits. And that's going to be the easiest. Yes, brilliant. So I'm going to do that. So that's going to be a lot of eyeballing, but that's what we do. that was a lot of cutting and grinding just to move this, and I cut it to size, and it's still not symmetrical, but it's good enough. So it's going on the shaft here, and of course also by moving it forward a bit I can tilt the angle back, so it might even get a better geometry on the steering column. So I'm going to put the axle back in and use that as a guide, and then prop it up with these so it's in the center here, and then just tack weld, and then check that the steering is moving freely before I start putting more welds on, and hope it doesn't twist more and lock up the axle, because then we have to redo it. And then of course I don't have to be too much ashamed over my own welds, because when I took the bracket off, well, someone has already welded a hole in the frame under there. So yeah, I'll even try and patch that, or by trying, make it worse. We'll see. That's the plan. So here we are. Now the steering column has got a more aggressive angle. I dropped the rear chassis as low as I can get it without touching the rear suspension, and I covered all the welding seams in hammerite. So yeah, I was just waiting for the final parts, which is the steering wheel, fuel lines, and a fuel tank. And in the meantime, I can 3D print some brackets to make the chassis fit snugly up onto the frame. So yeah, this is coming together nicely. See you in the next one.